Chechnya, a region in the North Caucasus, is home to a resilient and revolutionary people. Despite their small numbers, they have shown remarkable resistance and courage throughout history. What is happening today between Ukraine and Russia has its roots in Chechnya, dating back 30 years. At the beginning of the last century, Russia saw the rise of communism through Vladimir Lenin, who established communism through violent revolutions, including the assassination of Tsar Nicholas II and his family. The influence of communism spread not only to neighboring countries, but also to regions like Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Turkmenistan, forming the brutal and ruthless communist Soviet Union. The communist dictators of the Soviet Union, through aggressive actions and oppressive policies, subjugated numerous independent nations. To understand how one of the most oppressive states in history, Russia, managed to transition from an oppressor of nations to a participant in Ukraine's struggle for independence, we need to go back 3 decades to the Northern Caucasus region. At the beginning of the 20th century, Lenin, the founder of communism, established it in Russia through violence and revolution. The ideology spread to neighboring countries, resulting in the spread of communism in both Eastern and Western societies. In World War II, after Adolf Hitler's relentless onslaught, the Soviet Union emerged as a new superpower. Through coercion and force, they incorporated more than 15 states, including Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Turkmenistan, into the Soviet Union, under the guise of socialism. The communist dictators of the Soviet Union engaged in aggressive behavior toward newly independent nations. Today, Ukraine is one of those independent nations, and it was once a part of the Soviet Union. To gain insight into how Ukraine became independent, we must rewind to the early 90s. At the beginning of the last century, Vladimir Lenin, a prominent communist leader, founded communism in Russia, leading to the establishment of the Soviet Union. During the Soviet era, Russia implemented a policy known as internal destabilization, using the military to invade nations quietly. They would send troops under the guise of peacekeeping and then establish control through military occupation. In 1979, the communists initiated a war in Afghanistan under the pretext of restoring peace, leading to a genocide. The United States and Europe were deeply concerned about Soviet influence and their aggressive actions in Afghanistan. As a result, the Americans saw the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan as an opportunity and decided to actively support the resistance. Through the CIA, they recruited and trained Mujahideen fighters extensively. Young filmmaker Osama bin Laden was also encouraged by Bin Laden Construction, a Saudi Arabian construction firm, to contribute to resistance against the Soviet invasion. Along with other significant support from Arab nations, countless Mujahideen were recruited, trained, and sent by the United States and its allies to counter the Soviet aggression. The Afghan resistance, with the support of these foreign fighters, managed to inflict significant damage on Soviet forces. The ruthless Soviet war tactics, combined with economic hardships, internal instability, and foreign pressure, eventually forced the Soviet Union to withdraw its troops and relinquish control over Afghanistan. The consequences of the Afghan war were enormous, including massive casualties, economic turmoil, internal instability, foreign pressure, and Gorbachev's policies such as glasnost and perestroika, which contributed to the Soviet Union's decline. As a result, the Soviet Union dissolved into more than 15 independent states, each gaining its sovereignty. Today, Ukraine is one of those independent states, and it was a part of the Soviet Union until 1991. Chechnya also sought independence during this period. On January 11, 1991, Chechnya achieved its independence, and its first president was a nationalist revolutionary leader named Djokhar Dudayev. Dudayev did not have a favorable relationship with Russia. He faced opposition from Russia, and tensions escalated in the capital, Grozny. Russia even resorted to providing arms and moral support to anti-Dudayev forces, leading to a protracted conflict. The situation intensified in Chechnya, and Russia's military campaign became increasingly severe. The Chechen capital, Grozny, saw intense fighting, and the Russian military used ruthless tactics. In December 1994, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Chechnya. President Dudayev was their primary target. Within a short period, the conflict resulted in a significant loss of life and extensive damage, with Russian forces unable to defeat them. Chechnya's struggle for independence and Russia's attempts to suppress it continued for years. Despite numerous Russian invasions and brutal campaigns, Chechnya's desire for independence remained strong. In 1996, a peace agreement was reached, and hostilities ceased temporarily. However, the situation remained volatile, and in 1999, Russian President Vladimir Putin came to power, leading to further complications in Chechnya. Putin's approach towards Chechnya was uncompromising and harsh. He used both military force and political maneuvering to subdue the Chechen desire for independence. This led to the Second Chechen War, which lasted until 2009. During this period, Chechnya experienced widespread devastation, and the civilian population suffered immensely. Russia's tactics included extensive military operations, targeted assassinations, and the appointment of pro-Russian leaders in Chechnya. Over time, Chechnya's leadership was dominated by individuals loyal to Russia, such as Ramzan Kadyrov, who was appointed as the head of the Chechen Republic in 2007. Kadyrov's rule has been marked by a strong alliance with the Kremlin and a crackdown on any form of opposition or dissent. Today, Chechnya remains a part of the Russian Federation, but the scars of the conflict and the desire for independence still linger among some segments of the population. The situation in Ukraine, while distinct from Chechnya, is influenced by a complex web of historical, geopolitical, and cultural factors, making it a challenging issue to resolve. In summary, Chechnya's quest for independence and the events in Ukraine are separate but interconnected stories within the broader context of Russia's historical and contemporary actions in its neighboring regions. The legacy of these conflicts continues to shape the political landscape of the region and the dynamics between Russia and its former Soviet neighbors.